What's going on? Welcome back to Trending Stocks. Today we're going to talk to you about SoFi. I want to go over some of the current data points, break it down on what the hell is happening, and go over everything else you need to know. But first, make sure to hit that thumbs up. And with that, let's get right to it. Starting off, SoFi is down 3.8%. Crazy volatile day. So 740 at the low, 773 the high. And kind of low volume, so 25.4 million shares being traded, 40.3 is the average. Despite 25 million shares being traded, majority of the volume is coming from algorithmic trading as well as shorting, because you only do see two transactions occurring on the secondary market above $100,000. One was for 1.36, the other one was for 113,000. Regrettably, both were sells based on the bid, the ask, and the selling price. So I think just algos are feeding off of the negativity in the broader market. And clearly the broader market and institutions are just holding their breath for NVIDIA's earnings, which is coming out after hours today. So I think there is a consensus of more so like make it or break it kind of scenario within the broader market. And just on NVIDIA's earnings, I think there's a implied 15% in either direction anticipated. So that is going to really domino through the broader market and even through that SoFi. Today, there's been no actual news itself, no SEC filings, no new analyst ratings. So it is kind of just stuck in limbo. Yesterday, we do have Jim Cramer did and was very bullish on SoFi. So maybe the curse is kind of holding true. SoFi did have a lot of good strength yesterday. It did have a high, I think it was of 789. So I did a video yesterday, maybe it was one day too early, saying that SoFi is somewhat beating the curse of good old Jim Cramer, but maybe this is a big FU from the broader market. But aside from that though, one bullish point I do want to bring up is shorts. Shorts have more than enough ammunition to really double down. There is a lot of shares available to be shorted, but they are returning. So I see that as optimistic. So that's why I like to analyze this type of information. So 107,000 shares is being returned. That is net so far today. 17.95% of the free float is being shorted. Works out to be 187.85 million shares. Cost to borrow average, both the minimum and the average have kind of corrected itself. So both are positive right now. So the cost to borrow average is 0.72%. Utilization is 52.07. So we'll just have to wait and see what does come out. So the next several trading days, anticipate a hell of a lot of volatility, because you do have NVIDIA's earnings after hours today, GDP tomorrow, initial jobless claims tomorrow, as well as PCE on Friday. So, and not only that, next week is a lot of big tech companies. So this is going to be kind of the Super Bowl, if that makes sense, within the next 2 weeks in the market. So yeah, it's going to be a very interesting time. Despite all of this volatility, though, you do see the consensus for the September 18th meeting, for the Fed meeting, 36.5% likelihood of a 50 basis point cut, 63.5% likelihood of a 25 basis point cut. So that hasn't really changed all that much over this last several trading days. For the November 7th though, you do see this going up slightly. So this is the chances of a 50 basis point cut. So I think in reality, the market is a little bit more optimistic on that point right there. I don't know if it's necessarily because of inflation linked data, or because a lot of chatter about recession is starting to come up. I believe even UBS did state that the chances of or likelihood of a recession is now at like 30%. So yeah, it's one of those interesting times in the market. So if you are one of those old school investors that likes to believe in buy when there's a lot of blood, well, there is a lot of blood. And over the next couple of days, there could be a lot more, or the most epic rally kind of reversal that we've seen in a very long time. Looking at options, 3.26 million in calls, 1.14 million in puts. So a little bit more dollar value is getting in today. 47% of all the options being done so far are optimistic and bullish. This is kind of the call options that are being purchased. So you can see just based on where the strike prices are, majority is truly linked to just hedging. And this is the current open interest, so you guys are aware. So at the $7 strike price, 11,000, 24,000 at that 750, and then 33,000 at that 8. So I think from here on out for this week, SoFi might struggle with that $8 range. That's if everything goes according to plan. On the flip side, with 24,000 at that 750, you might see some suppression. But again, there's a hell of a lot of points coming out over the next couple days that's going to cause a lot of volatility. As of right now, with it at 750, so it is recovering a little bit. So first off, give yourself a shout out if you did buy anywhere close to the low today. But with it at 750 right now, it is trading between this pivot and this R1. So 739 is a strong support, and it did bounce off of that general area today. Flip side, $7.57 is going to be that next strong resistance / target. I don't anticipate it being touched in the next 30 minutes, maybe after hours, dependent on what happens with the earnings. But yeah, I think all in all, kind of a fun old day as usual. Another day in the life of a SoFi investor. A lot of volatility, a little bit of splash of manipulation, and that's how you get where we are now. On the actual chart, it is higher percentile of the Bollinger Band, still above a lot of the key pivotal moving averages. Stochastic though, you do see a start to a bearish deviation, plus it is at 90, so that is arguably considered overbought. So I've been stating this time and time again, the first sign of weakness, whether it be specific to SoFi or the broader market, you are going to see a significant pullback. So hasn't really, even with today's sell-off, it didn't really reset the technicals yet, so there might be still a little bit more pulling back, possibly to that 100-day moving average. Once again, that's kind of worst case scenario, dependent on a lot of the data points, and that is around that $7 range. Number of retail investors are getting out today as well. So if you are one of those individuals that is selling, give yourself a shout out, and potentially why. Do you just see more downside? Are you done with SoFi? What's your kind of thoughts? And yeah, just generally, what is your thoughts on the next several days? Do you think GDP, PCE are going to be big positives? Especially the market's going to be looking very closely to PCE, and PCE is going to change the dynamic of this, and interest rates most likely both for the September 18th and November 7th meeting. Like I've stated in previous videos though, I think right now we're going to be for sure having a 25. What is up for debate is if we have a 50 basis point cut or not. So let me know your thoughts. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. I always greatly appreciate that. And with all that, appreciate all of you watching.